Hi chess friends, today we are going to find out whether Magnus sacrificed or blundered his rook against Pranesh. Pranesh plays with white, Magnus is black. Pranesh starts with e4, Magnus plays g6, d4, d6, knight to c3, c6, Perk defense, bishop to e3, knight to f6, f3, b5. Out of the opening book, bishop to g7 would be the book continuation. g4, black expands on the queen side and white on the king side. h5, challenges the g pawn. g5, attacks the knight. Knight f2 d7, f4, knight to b6, knight to f3, b4, attacks the knight. Knight to e2, d5, challenges the e pawn. e5, Pranesh wants to play closed game. Bishop to g4, attacks the knight. Bishop to g2, defends it. e6, h3, attacks the bishop. Bishop takes knight on f3. Bishop takes bishop on f3. Knight 8 to d7. h4, bishop to e7, castle on the king side. Rook to c8, c3, challenges the b pawn. Knight to c4, attacks the bishop and b2 pawn. Bishop to c1, defends both. b pawn takes c3 pawn. b pawn takes c3 pawn. Rook to b8, controlling the open b file. King to h1, queen to a5, queen to d3, bishop to a3, offers exchange of bishops. Bishop to e3 was played. Slightly better is to exchange bishops. Now the knight will be exchanged for bishop. Dark squares will become weak. Knight takes bishop on e3, queen takes knight on e3, knight to b6, rook a to b1, reducing the black's control of the b file. King to d7, f5, e pawn takes f5 pawn, e6 check, f pawn takes e6 pawn. Pranesh gives away 2 pawns without getting any immediate compensation. Knight to f4, threatening queen takes e6 pawn. Rook h to e8, defends it. Bishop to e2, not allowing knight to c4 square. Bishop to d6, black wants to eliminate the knight on f4. Knight takes g6 pawn, white takes back 1 pawn. Knight to c4, attacks the queen. Bishop takes knight on c4, eliminates the knight. d pawn takes bishop on c4. Knight to e5 check. King to c7, knight to f7, queen to d5 check. King to g1, f4, pushes the passed pawn. Queen to f2, rook takes rook on b1. Rook takes rook on b1. Rooks are exchanged. Rook to f8, attacks the knight. Queen to b2. Pranesh sets a trap. If Magnus captures knight by rook, then there is checkmate in 4 moves. Let's see it now. Queen to b8 check. King to d7. Rook to b7 check. Bishop to c7. Rook takes bishop on c7 with check. King to d6. Rook takes rook on f7, checkmate. Back to the position. Magnus calculated it and played c5. Now black's rook controls the b8 square and queen controls the b7 square. Knight takes bishop on d6. King takes knight on d6. Queen to a3. Goes after the a7 pawn and pins the c5 pawn to king. Now c pawn cannot capture the d pawn, which can win a pawn for black. Queen to f5, queen to a6 check, king to d5, queen to b7 check, king to d6, d pawn takes c5 pawn check, queen takes c5 pawn check, king to f1, queen to d5, offers exchange of queens, queen to b4 check, king to e5, rook to e1 check, king to f5, the only move, queen takes rook on f8 with check. Is this a rook sacrifice or blunder? Let's see it later. King to g4, rook to e2 was played. If Pranesh plays any other moves like queen to b8, then the game will end in draw by perpetual check, like queen to f3 check, king to g1, queen to g3 check, king to f1, queen to h3 check, king to f2, queen to h2 check, king to f1, queen to h1 check. Even though white has an extra rook, there is no way to stop checks by queen, and the game leads to draw. Back to the position. Rook to e2, f3, attacks the rook. If Pranesh tries to save the rook, let's see what happens. If rook to f2, then there is checkmate in one move by queen d1 checkmate. Or if rook to h2, then there is checkmate in 3 moves by queen to d1 check, king to f2, queen to e2 check, king to g1, queen to e1 checkmate. Back to the position. Or if rook to c2, then there is checkmate in 5 moves. Pause the video and find it and post your solutions in the comment section. Back to the position. Or if rook to b2, let's see the continuation. King to g3, queen to b8 check, e5, king to e1, queen to c5, a4, f2 check, rook takes f2 pawn, queen takes rook on f2 with check, and the game leads to draw. Back to the position. Queen to f6. Magnus calculated all the continuations. Now white has to give up the rook to stay in the game. F pawn takes rook on e2, gets back the sacrificed rook. King takes e2 pawn. Queen to e4 check. King to f2, e5, g6, queen to c2 check, king to g1, queen to b1 check, king to g2. It will be a blunder if black takes the a2 pawn with queen with check. Then queen to f2 blocks the check. If black's queen moves, then there is checkmate in 2 moves. So exchange of queens is forced. After the exchange, black's king is far away from the white's g pawn. It cannot be stopped from promotion to queen by the black's king. White wins easily with the queen. Back to the position. So Magnus played queen e4 check, king to f2. Both players agreed for a draw because the black's queen can keep on checking the white's king and will lead to perpetual check. There is no way to stop it. So they agreed for draw. If you like the video, share, subscribe and like. Thank you.